Partnership with France towards crushing international criminal networks, undermining security and stability in the Sahel region. And from stories on partnership recommitment, we ride through the new National Development Roadmap as approved by the Federal Executive Council. The Anambra governorship election may have come and gone, and a winner declared. We bring you conversation on that. Karen takes action following Ikoyi building collapse. Not to forget the intriguing story of the pilot who dumped the skies for sewing machine. It's a whole lot that have been lined up for your viewing pleasure. Better not to let out everything at a stretch. After all, the taste of the pudding lies in the eating. I am Fatima Marbuba, and this is News Extra. You're welcome. Nigeria says it is irrevocably committed to partnership with France towards dismantling and degrading the international criminal networks, undermining security and stability in Chad Basin and the entire Sahel region. President Muhammadu Buhari, who started this at a working lunch with his French counterpart, Emmanuel Macron in Paris, appreciated efforts at expanding business and economic opportunities between Nigeria and France. State House correspondent Adam Osambo has the details.
It was a befitting diplomatic welcome for President Muhammadu Buhari on arrival at Palais Élysée on a reciprocal state visit to France, having played host to the French leader Emmanuel Macron in Abuja in 2018. Discussions during the high-level engagement between the two leaders at a working lunch held behind closed doors centered on ways and means of deepening and expanding relations on security and other critical economic sectors.
We talked about security. That was obviously a very important one, and in particular Boko Haram, how the French can help Nigeria in the fight against terrorism. Mr. President briefed on developments that have been taking place on that front, the surrendering of a number of Boko Haram fighters, then of course the Islamic State in West Africa, the role that they are now playing, and they were looking at how they can get greater cooperation amongst the various countries. The French president talked about the infusion of mercenaries in Mali, how that is a source of concern to a number of countries, and how this should be addressed very quickly, otherwise it's going to spread across the sub-region. Of course, a lot of countries expect Nigeria to intervene in all the trouble spots, but Mr. President felt that he prefers to do all the engagement within the framework of ECOWAS.
On economic integration in West Africa, the two leaders dwelled on plans for a single currency initiative by the sub-regional leaders.
As you know, a number of the countries were under the French economic zone, and their currencies, the CFR, was tied to the French banking system, supported by the Bank of France, the French reserves. And this is now being loosened as those countries now seek sort of an independent mechanism of their own. But there's a little stress in that between some of the French-speaking countries that want to go immediately to a single currency, and the Francophone countries that want more convergence and a step-by-step approach. President Macron, of course, felt that there was a need to maybe go faster, that he's tried to facilitate that with some of the measures they've taken to loosen the French control of those currencies. And Mr. President, of course, was talking about the need for convergence and moving forward gradually.
President Buhari and his French counterpart used the opportunity to appreciate the increase in the volume of trade between Nigeria and France.
In this context, the French president was very keen to see a more conducive environment for French companies coming to invest. He noted that a lot of the business was being done by very big French companies, but he wanted also the smaller French companies and small and medium-sized enterprises to also be able to invest in Nigeria, but he felt that would require greater government encouragement and presence. Our president talked about, his initiatives in enabling business in Nigeria and some of the tax and, profit exporting facilities that have been put in place, and that he felt that this should be a source of encouragement and confidence building for potential investors.
President Buhari formally appreciated the French government for playing a vital role in the fight against COVID-19 by donating 10 million doses of vaccines to Africa, with Nigeria receiving 500,000 doses. From Paris, France, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And President Muhammadu Buhari has extended Nigeria's formal invitation to the French business community to take advantage of the vast investment opportunities in Africa's largest economy. He gave the assurance that the nation's investment-friendly policies are not only backed by the rule of law, practical security initiative, and a resilient population, but obstacles to access and retention of foreign direct investment will also be eliminated. This was while addressing the inaugural session of the Nigerian International Partnership Forum in Paris, France, from where State House correspondent Adamu Sambu again reports.
The International Partnership Forum, put together by the Nigerian government to leverage on the Paris Peace Summit, seeks to, amongst others, bring a special spotlight on Africa's largest economy in Europe on matters of security, economy, and development.
The idea is post-COVID, what are the opportunities and how can we promote investment in our country, and how do we clear the cobweb of misunderstanding, especially of matters of security. We have done so much and so well, averting these dangers. People need to be reassured that the climate itself is good enough for investors to come.
I thought we were left alone, but what I have heard and seen today, it appears that there is a great attention in what is happening. And if once we're able to acknowledge that there is a problem, then a solution is coming soon. Especially when it comes to using technology to address our security challenges. And I believe with efforts of the federal government, very soon, most of these challenges will be addressed.
The high-level engagement had in attendance French and Nigerian government officials, as well as key players in the diplomatic, business, and economic enterprises of the two countries and beyond. President Muhammadu Buhari thanked participants to what he called the well-intentioned initiative for their sustained faith in Nigeria, confidence in the government, and significant contributions to the nation's economic prospects.
France-Nigeria bilateral relations are currently at their best. Our administration has capitalized on the strong political and economic ties between both countries to deepen trade relations, retaining Nigeria as France's biggest trading partner in sub-Saharan Africa. I believe that the robust bilateral engagement fits into the French plan to reset and rebalance its foreign policy framework in Africa for sustainable and mutually beneficial partnership.
He said, if anything ever tested multilateralism and signaled the poor state of international cooperation, it was the absence of a viable global plan for tackling the COVID-19 pandemic. For Nigeria, the president, however, said, apart from redoubling efforts towards mitigating its socio-economic effects, various reform measures have also been introduced to place the economy on the path of sustainable growth. These include establishing the Infrastructure Cooperation of Nigeria, Infraco, signing into law the Petroleum Industry Act, launching the electronic version of the national currency, the e-Naira, and improving the national policy on fifth-generation 5G network.
Let me finally stress that Nigeria is open for partnership and cooperation. As our development partners, rest assured that we will stand together with you throughout our partnership journey to guarantee our mutual interests. I can assure you that our administration is on the right path to achieving multi-sectoral progress. We have revitalized the economy by increasing investments in capacity building, health, infrastructure, women's empowerment, climate change, and food security. Today, these actions are yielding self-employment, expanding our human resource pool, and strengthening our national productivity for sustainable development.
And recognizing the importance of security to the risk profile of the nation, Nigeria informed participants that the national security strategy has been revised and its implementation contributed significantly to the progress made in fighting terrorism and insurgency, as well as preventing and countering violent extremism. From Paris, France, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
And back home, the Federal Executive Council this Wednesday at its meeting approved a new National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, which now replaces the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan 2017 to 2022. The plan is underpinned by a macroeconomic framework which projects an average real GDP growth of 5% per annum and costed to have an investment size of 348.7 trillion naira over the 5 years plan. State House correspondent Gideon Ifade reports.
Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, presented a memorandum before the Federal Executive Council for the approval of a new National Development Plan. And this plan is to succeed the Economic Recovery and Growth Plan, which expired in December 2020.
As the minister explains, the National Development Plan is structured around 6 clusters, which includes economic growth and development, infrastructure, public administration, human capital development, social development, as well as regional development.
So we costed the plan to make sure it's clear from the beginning how much is required in terms of funding. We've already identified some of the funding sources and we'll continue to identify more funding sources. We've also identified some of the measures that government needs to take in terms of reforms to encourage that investment that needs to be undertaken by the private sector. If you remember earlier when I said the total funding requirement for the 5-year period is 348 trillion, of which 5.7% will be contributed by the private sector. So it means the whole of government, federal, state, and local government needs to concentrate on supporting the private sector with reforms, with initiatives, with policy to enable the private sector to thrive, because it is the private sector that will ensure that we meet these our growth aspirations that is provided for in the plan.
She says the implementation of the plan requires establishment of a strong implementation mechanism and framework that promotes performance and accountability.
And immediately we get this plan launched, we will be continuing the work on the longer-term plan, which is the Nigeria Agenda 2050. And this is to make sure we don't have a vacuum going forward.
One of the downside that we learned from the ERGP, or complaints that came from people, was that it wasn't inclusive enough, it wasn't participatory, and that people saw it as a federal government plan. So deliberately for this National Development Plan 2021 to 2025, the issue of no one being left behind was key.
On the health sector, Minister of Health Osage Ehanire also got approval for the memos he presented before the council.
And all of them were in respect of procurements. First was the memo from the Federal Medical Center, Katsina, for an oncology and radiotherapy center to be able to handle cancer cases. The second memo was for re-equipping Othman Danfodio University, which is one of our centers of excellence for managing cancer also. The equipment are old and broken down.
The virtual meeting was presided over by Vice President Yemi Osinbajo. In the State House, Jide Onifade, NTA News.
In the meantime, defense and security were at the top of a federal government's financial checklist for 2022 as it allocated 15% of the budget to the sector. But those in charge of the security architecture say it is inadequate and are calling for a change in the budget system. National Assembly correspondent Lami Ali has that.
Nigeria operates an envelope system of budget allocation. This places a limit on how much each agency receives irrespective of its financial requirements. The Nigerian Defense Academy told the House Committee on Defense during an analysis of its pending proposal for 2022 that it needs additional 6.5 billion naira, out of which 500 million will be used for perimeter fencing.
Everybody knows about the breach that happened. Fortifying that place should have come in from the envelope system that was submitted ab initio.
This budget had earlier been submitted before this incident of 24th of August, and that explains why we have to fit in as we have done.
At another budget defense engagements between the various intelligence-related agencies under the Office of the National Security Advisor and the House Committee on National Security and Intelligence, the need to work out a more effective funding system resonated.
This development will strengthen your operational capacity, especially in the present situation that necessitates high-level confidentiality in sharing information to relevant security agencies across the country.
The budget appraisal continued behind closed doors. The Christian Pilgrims Commission also met with the House Committee on Pilgrims Affairs to defend its budget proposal for 2022.
The total of recurrent and capital put together is giving us 1,237 million.
Once we are able to match your proposal with government policies and aspirations of Nigerians, the committee will in turn defend your proposal at the Appropriations Committee.
The Commission appealed for more funds to expand its activities. From the National Assembly, Lami Ali, NTA News.
Senate has approved the 2018-2020 federal government external borrowing plan of 16.2 billion United States dollars and 1 billion euros. Ignatius Nkwot reports that the approval is equal to the consideration of the report of the Senate Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, which scrutinized the request.
World Bank, 3.5 billion United States dollars. China Exim Bank, 5 billion. Industrial and Commercial Bank of China, 3.9 billion. And China Development Bank, 2.8 billion. These are the major sources of the federal government 2018-2020 proposed borrowing. 4 months after the Senate referred the presidential loan request to its Committee on Local and Foreign Debts, the committee has concluded works on the proposed loan expected to be injected into Nigeria's infrastructural and human capital development.
The projects under the health sector include 1. Accelerating nutrition results in Nigeria project, which is $222 million to be financed by World Bank.
The approval we are giving today is to enable the commence negotiation sourcing for this loan.
And a grant component of $125 million under the 2018-2020 external borrowing plan.
The legislators demanded that the executive forward the terms and conditions of the loan to the National Assembly. The bills that seek to repeal the Money Laundering Prohibition Act 2021 and enact the Money Laundering Prevention and Prohibition Act to, among other issues, establish the Special Control Unit under the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, passed second reading. The 2 bills, sponsored by Senators Sadiq Umar and Suleiman Abdul Kwari, when signed into law, will also strengthen Nigeria's existing anti-corruption system through the provision of appropriate penalties and expansion of the roles of supervisory bodies.
Many public servants who are entrusted with managing public funds are often accused of creating phantom companies, overpricing of contracts.
It will therefore, on the other hand,
establish Bureau for Money Laundering, which is to be domiciled in the NFIU.
Many people who have held public office in time past, what they have done is to siphon money abroad to buy properties in the name of their wives and their children.
Senator Solomon Adeola's bill on the amendment of the Niger Delta Development Commission seeks to change its name to Oil-Producing Areas Development Commission and to include Bauchi, Lagos, Ogun, Kogi and other states into the commission, also passed second reading.
To include states that have attained the status of oil-producing states.
Because the consequences of exploration it's going to affect them equally.
But the way it is now to bring other states in the north and the southwest into the Niger Delta, this is a mockery of the whole idea.
The National Meteorological Training Institute on Nature Establishment Bill, sponsored by Leader of the Senate, Yahaya Abdullahi, passed second reading. From the National Assembly, Ignatius Nkwo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, since Tuesday, when the two chambers of the National Assembly passed the 2010 Electoral Act Amendment Bill to make it an act of Parliament, there has been a flurry of reactions from Nigerians and even politicians on its implementation. And Olabole Arewa sought the views of some Nigerians in the aftermath of its passage.
In order to bring about eternal democracy, so let all party members have a say in selecting their candidate. You know, this thing of indirect leaves room for a lot of abuse, especially the money bags. That's where the money plays a factor. But with direct, how much money are you going to give every party member? So it makes sense, and indeed, it's a welcome development. And more importantly also, electronic transmission of election results by INEC. They just need to develop regulations that have the powers to make regulations, especially that guides the internal workings of the parties. There ought to be party democracy.
Now, we have to move forward as a country, bringing in the right laws that are supposed to help in the national development of any country that wants to move forward. These are part of the things that we need. Are you getting me? We have to start making the right laws and then implementing them. That is the most important part, and that is why I'm concerned about the implementation.
Thank you so much, Olabode. Now, with me in the studio to discuss issues on the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill is a public affairs analyst. He is Dr. Mena Sarakugo Umar. Please join me in welcoming him. You're welcome to News Extra.
It's always my honor to be here for nation building.
Okay.
Yes.
It's always good to have you, though.
Good.
So before the passage of the Electoral Act Amendment Bill by the National Assembly, a conference committee was set up to harmonize the gray areas considered and re-amended about 21 clauses. Now, the contentious clause of 52, which makes provision for electronic transmission of election results, has been harmonized. Now, INEC is empowered to use its discretion to deploy electronic transmission of results. So what does it portend, for electorates and politics in Nigeria at large?
Well, first of all, it portends that INEC has gotten the entrenchment of the real independence it ought to have. And then secondly, it shows that provision of Section 14, subsection 1 of the Constitution is being respected by the National Assembly as far as provisions of Sections 4 and 11 of the Constitution. In other words, democracy is really all about people. And the real custodians of democracy are the people. So this amendment is all about trying to fulfill the current government's pledge that, definitely speaking, the government will try as much as possible to revolutionize economy and political sector so that people of the citizenry will be the real custodians of the democratic cup in Nigeria. So this is a very important thing because it will block all chances of electoral frauds. It will go again, talk about reduction in terms of the period it will take to really deliver a verdict regarding whosoever is the winner. And apart from that, it will entrench credibility and acceptability, so as we will reduce cases of unnecessary wranglings and unnecessary disagreements among the political contenders. So generally speaking, this is a very good, bold step. It will go a long way in entrenching and rooting democracy in tandem with the interests of common man.
So let's talk about Nigeria's governance forum, and it seems not to they seem not to be comfortable with the adoption of the direct primaries. Now, what do you think about it? What's your take?
Well, in the constitutional architecture of Nigeria, there is nowhere that Nigerian governance forum is mentioned. There is nowhere. So it's an aberration, it's a creation. You can establish it under sections 39 or 41. They can establish it, but it has no constitutional basis. That is one. Secondly, the National Assembly are the ones that have the right to make legislations regarding this as per provisions of sections 8 and 9 of the Constitution. And then when you look at it, there is nothing we need more than this, rather than to even ask the governors to even comment the disposition of the National Assembly members, and further go ahead to call on the president to immediately sign it into law. To immediately sign it into law, because there are two very important things. This is the second one. The first one is the signing of the Petroleum Industries Act, which has bankrolled back the power of the economy to the citizens. And then now we are having the restoration of the political power to the common man. President Buhari promised this during his electioneering campaign, in a situation whereby the governors will be allowed to continue to be controlling or teleguiding the political structure in the country by the so-called use of delegates and other things. It definitely is a deficit in the democratic experiment. We want democracy to go to the root, to the grassroots, so that a common man there will go and be canvassed often for his own votes, for his own interests, for his own aspirations. This is the way we will deepen the experience of democracy for other countries within the...
But one of the arguments is that, they said the executive order of, gathering people in one place because of the spread of COVID-19. What do you have to say about that?
Well,
they talked about that.
You cannot acrobate and retrobate. The same politicians are the ones organizing political jamborees, political conferences, political rallies, political conventions. The same politicians are the ones organizing or even arranging tumultuous welcome whenever they are going to their constituencies. And the same people are the ones busy, making jamborees during social events all over the country. And the same politicians are the ones, even remember the recent elections. We got elections in various places, and there are congresses that have been organized, the one in Abuja recently, the one for Edo elections, the one for all other places. So they did not complain on that. And at the same time, why will you be talking about something that doesn't concern you? When His Excellency President Buhari signed into law some very, very important things that will go a long way in developing the citizenry. For example, the issue of the autonomy of the judiciary at the state level, the autonomy of the legislature at the state level, the autonomy of the local government structure as a bona fide structure, third level structure in the governance. These people kicked against it to the extent of even taking the president to the court. The president has an obligation. He has a symbiotic marriage of convenience with the common man, and this is something that will go ahead in really bringing, entrenching sovereignty back to the citizenry. It is a welcome development because it is in tandem with sections 14, subsection 1 of the Constitution, sections 15, subsections 1, 2, 3, and section 17, subsection 1, 2 in particular. These provisions are provisions that talks about balanced justice, equity, social justice, and entrenchment of robust democracy in the hands of the real stakeholders, in other words, the common man. We want a situation whereby we will go, a vote of an individual from the remotest village in Nigeria will count, not a situation whereby you go and convert people in a hotel and then you now gather issue of the highest money back fix it in the name of so-called delegates arrangement. No, democracy is a game of the people by the people and is a game of number. And when you are talking of number, you must take it to the stakeholders, the citizenry, to the grassroots. That is what will make the politicians to go to the remotest to campaign when it comes to elections.
I know you have a whole lot to talk about, and because we're running out of time, we have another interview in a short while. So thank you so much for coming on a News Extra.
It's always my welcome, my pleasure to be here. Thank you very much.
Okay, that was Dr. Mainasara Kogo Umar, public affairs analyst there. Now, up ahead on News Extra, the conversation on the just concluded Anambra elections, plus the enactment of the administration of criminal justice 6 years after. Correspondent beams the searchlight on its impact. This and trending stories on security that should be of interest to you. So stay tuned for details when we return.
I realized very young that I was different. My friends tried to enroll me in school.
And the headmaster said, I don't want a child that will come and scare away other children. Madam, take your child home. I wept like I had never wept that day. NTA came in at a point when I was at my lowest. I got a call.
And it turned the story around.
They had found a hospital in South Africa. They had found a doctor. Till date, Great has undergone 17 surgeries. And NTA has not turned their back on Great since then.
Now that I'm graduating, I feel very excited. I'm ready for the challenges life has to push towards me.
You call someone great, and then you expect that he has to go through something so that that name will be real.
I'm bold, I'm confident, you can also do it.
I dey look for pension fund administrator. Way soft, make sense, we care for me. Shy. No be the time when story go enter the matter when it's time to deliver. Oh no, 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 no. The brand is sure them no go stress you. Call them, then they accessible. Yes, customer care where they on point. No go regret when you try, of course. Promisable investments, everything is just a blend. If you don't want it good for you, guy make you choose premium pension today. Make that switch to premium pension. Premium pension. Make that switch to premium pension.
Join over 700,000 satisfied members and enjoy the premium experience at our offices across the 36 states in Nigeria, including the FCT. Call 094615 700 to 704 to make the switch today. Premium pension. Active today, premium tomorrow.
Are you interested in getting your products or services to more people, expanding your business, becoming more profitable, and a leader in your industry? If yes, then simply open a Zenith Bank SME Grow My Business account and get the extra edge you need. Visit any of our branches today to get your Grow My Business account or www.zenithbank.com/SME to learn more.
How to make a perfect bowl of love? A perfect blend of taste that brings every ingredient to life. The fusion of different spices. The unique aroma that rejuvenates your senses. The heartwarming deliciousness. And the satisfaction that comes from every bite, which makes you say, I love my Indomie.
The internet at home disconnects me, but that's a thing of the past. Today, I found the great solution. With Connect, I can get internet from space. It's super fast satellite internet from Connect. It's great. I can get internet everywhere. It's super simple and super fast. It's Connect. Broadband up to 100 megabits per second. All this from 6,900 naira per month. Isn't it great? Go to connect.com.
Once upon a time, an idea was born. It grew into one institution with a master plan. Since 1989, IBTC has evolved to become Stanbic IBTC, setting the base as one of the first holding companies in Nigeria. Over the years, we've expanded beyond banking to owning formidable business subsidiaries across 10 industries, all backed up with AAA Fitch rating. With over 4,000 employees, our presence across the country is further strengthened by our efficient network of digital channels. Our dedication to the Nigerian dream has granted us recognition 44 times by 18 awarding bodies in 6 sectors. We are proud to be champions of exponential trade finance through our partnership with the largest bank in the world, facilitated across 22 sectors. Nigeria is our home, and we are committed to driving her growth. So whatever your dream is, we believe it can be.
This is beautiful.
is vital. Quality is Vitafoam.
Hello, honey.
Hey, baby.
Wow, those guys are good in bed.
What? Yes, we're good in bed. Hurry now to any Vitafoam accredited dealer nationwide or visit us online on www.vitafoamng.com to place your order today. Vitafoam, the fine art of living.
Great to have you back. The Independent National Electoral Commission has declared Professor Chukwuma Soludo of the All Progressives Grand Alliance ABGA as the winner of the 2021 Anambra State governorship elections. Professor Soludo polled a total of 112,229 votes to beat his closest contender, Valentine Ozigbo of the People's Democratic Party (PDP). Chukwuma Soludo has that.
That Charles Chukwuma Soludo of APGA, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected.
The long wait is over, and the will of Anambra has prevailed in their choice of Professor Chukwuma Charles Soludo, the candidate of the All Progressive Grand Alliance, ABGA, as their governor for the next 4 years.
ABGA is a very strong party, liked and loved by the people of Anambra State. So this election has settled a lot of issues, and what we want is peace. Let Anambra State be in peace.
The election was adjudged peaceful, transparent, and credible.
At the end, there was no casualty, no loss of life. We are happy that happened, but there was low turnout in the election.
We know that there are subversive elements and people who did not want the election to hold. And the best option that was open to us was to take the fight to them. And that was exactly what we did. We boxed them in.
All eyes and ears will now be on the other political parties on how they will react on the outcome of the election. From the INEC Collation Center here in Oka, I am Chukwuma Soludo, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Professor Charles Chukwuma Soludo, the candidate of the All Progressives Grand Alliance, as he emerges winner in the governorship election in Anambra State. A statement by the Special Advisor to the President on Media and Publicity, Femi Adesina, notes that President Buhari praises the security agencies for their determination to ensure that the election went on smoothly, and the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) for the successful conclusion of the exercise despite initial challenges encountered. President Buhari enjoins Professor Soludo, members of the Presidential Economic Advisory Committee, to rally other stakeholders to tackle the enormous challenges confronting the state and the Southeast in general. The President looks forward to working with the incoming governor for the peace, security and development of not only Anambra State, but the entire country. The Anambra governorship election has come and gone, but the political dynamics that trailed the exercise is more than meets the eye. In this report, Ngozi Okafor captured the apprehension and resilience that paved way for the success of the exercise.
About 2.5 registered voters in Anambra State filed out recently to elect a new governor for the state, with a total of 18 political parties fielding candidates for the poll.
With the date fixed for Anambra gubernatorial election for November 6 and primaries over, Andy Oba emerged candidate of the All Progressive Congress (APC). Professor Chukwuma Soludo emerged that of ABGA, while Valentine Ozigbo became the flag bearer for the PDP among other contenders in the race. Candidates were made to sign a peace accord during the process to give their words against violent election. Just as it played out in the recent past elections, Threats from the proscribed indigenous people of Biafra put fears in the minds of politicians as well as the electorate. Not only did they distort progress during the election primaries and campaigns, they enforced a one-week sit-at-home mandating residents not to take part in the November 6th election. Although the sit-at-home was later cancelled at the last minute, residents still feared possible attacks during the election as streets and roads of a state were deserted on Friday, a day to the election proper. However, with the support of President Muhammadu Buhari, who deployed adequate security personnel to give a level playing ground to every candidate and allay fears of a citizenry, coupled with the people's political awareness, the electorate defied all odds to exercise their franchise.
Just because of the security network and security apparatus I saw on the way. From Thursday, Friday, I saw the deployment. That was what gave me the morale.
Then INEC, on the other hand, they also promised that it was going to be very fair. And we saw, though in the absence of other lapses, I think it was a very credible election.
Issues like the hiccups that trailed INEC's delivery of electoral materials and initial setbacks from the biomodal voter accreditation system, BVAS, posed threats to the success of Saturday's 6th November exercise.
When I got to this place, I discovered that even me, myself and my wife, we were captured, but we couldn't vote.
And it's quite disappointing that we've not seen any INEC official or any sensitive or non-sensitive materials from INEC that have arrived here.
Although INEC initially released the results of 20 collected local governments out of 21 after Saturday's 6th election.
Yes, to talk more on the Anambra elections, I have with me in the studio the Director of Programs, Yaga. She's Cynthia Mbamalu. She was practically on ground that day, right?
Yes, yes.
So how did it go with the tension, threats and challenges that were associated with the Anambra elections? What is your opinion, what's in your own opinion now are the heights in that election? What will you say?
Yeah, I guess first is the fact that we held the elections. The elections have come and gone, and I think that was a major high because before November 6th, there was a lot of fear and apprehension with these elections hold because of the security threat. But thankfully, we saw elections, they came and voters came out to vote, and I think it's important to commend the Anambra, as we call them, who defied all orders and all odds and came out to vote. That is very important. That is one major high, and I think the other part for me, so when Anambra, I was in Anambra 2 weeks to the elections, and just going through the communities because we had trainings at the local government levels and just getting reports from our guys in the field, in the communities, our trainers. There were some voters who wanted to vote, but they just said, if we're setting our lives to be secured, we would vote. So to see the level of security deployment and even the fact that we had security operatives operate within some level of professionalism, I think that was a major high because usually you'd see elections, there will be reports of security being unprofessional or abusing fundamental human rights. But in the Anambra elections, one of the things we observed as Yaga Africa was the fact that we had security deployment at the polling units where we observed, and not just that, but they were professional in their conduct. That was another high. I think the third high from that election is the fact that the process is getting better. And I think a lot of citizens need to understand and appreciate that our electoral process is actually improving and votes are counting. It's difficult to manipulate the process now. It doesn't mean there are no challenges, right? If you observe the elections, we had logistic challenges, deployment issues, and all of that. However, an overall assessment of the elections, if we talk about the deployment of technology, the bimodal voter accreditation system, I think that is one technological device that would ensure transparency in the process. Because the BVAS, what it did was not just to accredit and authenticate voters, but also to upload results on the elections portal, which is one of the forms of elections transmission, the e-transmission of results, which thankfully was part of the proposed amendment that has been passed by the National Assembly.
So you mentioned 3 highs. So now, what are the lessons, Cynthia? Can you tell us the lessons we can learn from the Anambra election, given the fact that 2023 is just around the corner? And this is not just one state we're talking about. We're talking about the whole of
national.
Country. Yeah. So, what lessons?
I think first there's a lot for the Electoral Commission, because these elections has given INEC a sense on where the challenges are and what they need to work on. First is technology, perfecting the deployment of technology for the elections, because the challenges we saw with the beavers, imagine if it was in national elections where there's a lot more tension and pressure, that level of delay would have been a catastrophe. And so INEC would need to ensure that every technological glitch and all the challenges with that technology is duly addressed and perfected. That is one. The second is issues around the management of polling units and register of voters. One of the things we had seen in Anambra was INEC created new polling units, but there was a level of imbalance in distribution of polling units. Some polling units had very few voters, while some had 750 to 1,000 and 3,000. So that in itself is problematic. And so INEC has that opportunity to review its polling units for the national polling units created, and ensure that there is better allocation of voters across the polling. So that is within the commission. And I think the third is building confidence in the process. Voter turnout in Anambra was really low, 10.10%, 10.27%. And for the national, this is beyond just INEC. It's a joint effort by both the Electoral Commission, media practitioners, CSOs, political parties. We need to start preaching the message of participation as a fundamental right and as a democratic responsibility. And we need to build trust and confidence in the process, because if voters are not coming out to vote, all this investment in building the system would almost be a waste. So it's also that need to start voter education early enough, civic education and voter mobilization, because we need to get voters to start voting for our democracy to work.
Yeah, okay. Now many people, are pleasantly surprised, that the presidency had absolutely no influence on the conduct and the outcome of the election. So was there any justification for such fears? Was there any such justification?
Well, we live in a country where there's a lot of mistrust. We question everything. Nigerians do not have. We have huge trust challenges, and so there's that aspect. But because there's a tendency to always think there will be federal mind. Some people said federal mind to say forget about federal mind. Focus on coming out to vote. Right? If you vote, your votes will count. So I think at the end there was no justification for that fear, because if you look at the process and the outcome, you can see that you had the All Progressive Grand Alliance winning the elections, and even the next party after that was the People's Democratic Party, not even the All Progressive Congress, right? Yeah. So at the end, what matters now, like I said, the system is getting better. Okay. If we come out in the numbers to vote, the actual vote that you vote at the polling unit is actually what we count. And our PVT data from Yaga Africa verifies that INEC's result actually is a reflection of the votes cast at the polling unit level.
I wish I can talk to you more, Cynthia. It's very, very interesting interview there, Mercy. Thank you so much for coming on News Extra. Yes, Director of Programs, Yaga Africa there. Now, moving on, there was a mild drama at the trial of proscribed indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, Nnamdi Kanu, at the Federal High Court, Abuja, when a team of counsels for Kanu, led by Ifeanyi Ejimako, staged a walkout at the trial. Judiciary correspondent Vera Chumuba reports.
Some routes leading to the Federal High Court Abuja were barricaded by security operatives, forcing road users to go one way. Journalists, lawyers, traditional rulers, observers and activists were denied access to the Federal High Court premises. The defendant, Nnamdi Kanu, was brought into the courtroom around 9:52 in the morning. Two lawyers to Kanu, Ifeanyi Ejiofor and Aloy Idimako, were initially inside the courtroom before the proceedings. On stepping out of the courtroom to resolve the issue of number of lawyers to be allowed in, and on return, security operatives of the Department of State Services denied the team access to the courtroom, which resulted in a walkout shortly before the arrival of the judge. When the case was called up, The defendant protested the refusal of security agents to allow some members of his legal team, especially his lawyer from the U.S., Bruce Fein, to enter the courtroom when the prosecuting team came with an entourage of counsels. He told the court that his American-based counsel had gone to DSS to see him, but he was equally denied access to him. He, however, refused to proceed with the hearing in the absence of his lawyers. Meanwhile, counsel to the federal government and Director of Public Prosecution at the Federal Ministry of Justice, Mohammed Abubakar, urged the court to proceed with the trial in the absence of Kanu's lawyers. Abubakar told the court that the matter was fixed for hearing on an application filed by the defendant. In a short ruling, Justice Binta Nyako expressed displeasure over the conduct of Kanu's lawyers. She declined to dismiss the pending application and rather adjourned the case to 19th of January 2022 for trial.
And ACJA is specific on the guideline for trial of person who is in session. And it said day-by-day trial.
There's no more fundamental right than a right to access to lawyers in a criminal case. It's enshrined in the Nigerian Constitution. It's enshrined in the International Covenant on Civil and Political Rights.
We're going to go back to the drawing board, and we're going to come out with very strong countervailing legal and judicial challenges to the travesty of justice that happened in court today.
Kanu, who has pleaded not guilty to the 7-count charges facing terrorism-related charges, and is being detained in the custody of the Department of State Services since his rearrest from Kenya. In Abuja, Viera Chumuba, NTA News.
Peace-building efforts in Nigeria are gaining momentum and the desired support, particularly amongst the youth. This is evident at a peaceful rally by one Nigeria group in solidarity with government's proactive measures to keep Nigeria and Nigerians united, held in Abuja. Salihu Abdullahi Guanara reports.
Like their name, one Nigeria group, their appearances and the display of Nigeria's color, green, white, green, the group says is part of its determination to practically demonstrate total commitment and boost the morale of government and its agencies fighting criminals and their sponsors. Leader of the One Nigeria group, Muhammad Hassan, says the arrest and prosecution of alleged criminals is giving hope to Nigerians.
This crowd is a significant testimony that Nigerians love their country. Within this crowd, you can see Igbo people, you can see Yoruba people, you can see Ijo people. All tribes of Nigeria are members of One Nigeria group. And we come to tell the whole world that the unity of our country is not at all negotiable.
We are here to encourage the federal government that, as you can see, the Nigerian youth are solidly behind them.
Unity Fountain in the nation's capital was the starting point of the solidarity rally that terminated at the premises of the Federal High Court. In Abuja, Salihu Abdullahi Guanara, NTA News.
President Muhammadu Buhari congratulates Malam Mandora as he marks his 82nd birthday, November 9. In a message to his nephew and close associate, President Buhari says no one deserves a happier birthday than Malam Dora, describing him as a complete gentleman, widely respected for his scholarly pursuits and rich intellect, famous for his master strokes. The president wishes him good health and happiness and urges him to continue to serve the nation. 6.5 years after Nigeria started the implementation of a new criminal justice system brought about by the enactment of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA, a first conference of its monitoring committee is holding in Abuja to assess its impact on the nation's justice system. Femi Okewe gives us a picture of what monitoring ACJA entails.
Once a law is made, particularly one that is thought to be as revolutionary as the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, citizens have a right to assess it based on its impact on the system. And for the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, its impact is assessed based on the awaiting trial numbers that we still have in our courts. As part of the implementation of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, the Act itself directs the establishment of monitoring committees at the federal level and in states that have adopted the law. Only 3 states are said not to have adopted ACJA yet, So the conference gave a wide opportunity for an in-depth appraisal of both AGJA itself and the monitoring committees.
One of the important function that monitoring committee has to perform is decongestion of courts. Today, the legal process is faster, criminal-wise, than what it used to be in those days.
The pioneer chairman of the monitoring committee, along with several other delegates, agreed that reports of the monitoring committees should be given prompt attention.
Gradually, we are putting systems and mechanism in place in terms of the oversight that will, in good time, be able to impact on these challenges.
As a result of all this, and knowing that the success of AGJA is work in progress, the conference of the monitoring committee is now to be annual. In Abuja, Femi Okeowo, NTA News.
Let's now head to you. Communications for the 21st Century Leader dominated discussions at this year's three-day Directors' Conference of the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations holding in Uyo, Akwa Ibom State. Ifeoma Hoje was there and now reports.
Worried about the increasing trust gap between the Nigerian government and the citizens, the Nigerian Institute of Public Relations, NIPR, Directors Conference 2021 is seeking to prefer ways to bridge communication issues by engaging the tool of dialogue. The NIPR submits that with sustained advocacy and efficient communication, the threatened fabrics of peaceful coexistence in Nigeria will be mended and national growth assured.
So the coming together of people who man communication for both the public and private sector, compare notes.
Sensitization, advocacy and lobbying in the 21st century, non-violent communication as well as reputation management in a crisis economy are some solutions profiled by stakeholders at the conference to minimize issues of distrust between the leaders and the led in the contemporary society.
We need, as public relations practitioners, to be well versed or to be well trained to be able to deal with the issues that arise from sensitization.
The NIPR will be hosting similar trainings in other geopolitical zones, which will climax with the Citizens Summit for National Integration, Peace and Security, built for Abuja on December 2, 2021. In Uyo, Ifeoma Hoje, NTA News.
The need for involvement of the traditional institution in tackling the myriad of challenges confronting the nation came to the fore at a visit to the Emir of Gwandu, Mohammed Ilyasu Bashir, in Birnin Kebbi by three of his counterparts from different parts of the country. Abakar Garba Diggi has more.
The visit spearheaded by the parliament leader of Eleme Kingdom in Port Harcourt, Apollos Chu, alongside Emir of Kagara and Borgu, Ahmed Garba Gunna Atahir II and Muhammad Sani Halil Ontoro, was mainly to synergize with the view to helping Nigeria tackle the challenges it faces as a nation.
Our visit here is a continuous effort to unite this nation. With Apollos Chu here with us, we believe that Nigeria is one, and we should continue to preach the unity of this country. Because of the alliance and because of relationship we already established, it becomes easier that I take some portion of your job from you to manage some of your people between my own kingdom and between my own state.
Yeah, we should be patient. Okay. And we should be prayerful. Allah will see us through.
May God bless our country. A common position on pressing issues of national interest is expected out of the synergy being entered for use by the National Council of Traditional Rulers from the Abdullah Fodio Palace in Birnin Kebbi. NTA News.
Economic Community of West African States is collaborating with key global partners for the full implementation of ECOWAS policy framework for security sector reform and governance. The renewed commitment is to be domesticated by member states for a seamless transition to a stable and economically viable dispensation in the region. Abakar Usman Akwanga reports.
The history of most West African countries has been linked to social unrest, giving rise to political instability and economic crises. These developments are bringing state and non-state actors on the round table to brainstorm on the future of the region under bilateral cooperation.
The objective of the ECOWAS SSRG policy framework, which are to promote common security standards in the region, complement nationally led initiatives, and promote regional security coordination and cooperation so as to effectively tackle new and emerging security challenges.
The joint effort is to assist in the implementation of the framework for security sector reform and governance in line with best global practice.
As security challenges are on the rise throughout the ECOWAS region, security institutions are more than ever in need of democratic control and oversight, as well as inclusion and respect for human rights.
The German government remains committed to contributing to the creation of a secure and safe post-conflict environment in the ECOWAS region.
Regional leaders promised to adopt integrated approach in finding common solution to security threats and other challenges bedeviling ECOWAS states. In Abuja, Abubakar Usman Akwanga, NTA News.
To a bit on health. The coronavirus pandemic no doubt threw up new challenges for Nigeria's health sector, including that of meeting up with the testing of Nigerians for the virus. Now, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control has taken its capacity to diagnose the COVID-19 a step higher with the unveiling of a rapid diagnostic test kit. Olabode Arewa brings us more.
Since the coronavirus became widespread as a global pandemic, nations of the world have been implementing strategies to contain its spread. Here in Nigeria, the Nigeria Center for Disease Control, which has been spearheading the testing, isolation, and treatment of COVID-19 patients, has added a new rapid diagnostic kit to its array of testing devices for COVID-19. Named the Lumirax antigen-based rapid diagnostic kit, the NCDC says the device has undergone validation and has been proven to be very effective for use even in rural areas.
We know that these kits are coming from somewhere, and we have to, make people accountable of whatever we're given. We have to do our reports. It's based on what you have. Nobody will even ask you for any information. Nobody will ask for data. They just request the data from NCDC and look at what we have.
It is a project in Nigeria. The test kits and the devices, they are given to the country free of cost, right? And it was brought to help the country increase the rate of testing for COVID. As the disease is advancing, we know that many people, they are far from the central lab. So we cannot take this device outside the laboratory to get tested.
This Train the Trainers workshop is aimed at scaling up Nigeria's efforts at reducing the spread of the virus, as well as generating data for the advancement of knowledge in containing other health issues in Nigeria. Olabode Arewa, NTA News.
Thank you, Olabode. Oshogbo Groove gets a feel of digitalization. Did I hear you say how? Find out in our next segment as we take another breather.
Sure, Danny. This one where you get Christmas mood, so see you with this and this and this every day now. Christmas with Glow Berekete plus. Now I feel listening to all my favorite jams all night long.
Glow Berekete Plus is here, and every day is now Christmas. Existing Glow customers will get 400% bonus on every recharge and 100 MB data bonus on first recharge of the month. New Glow customers will get 1,000 Naira welcome bonus. To activate, buy a new Glow SIM today or dial *777# for existing Glow customers.
Every day now Christmas with the Glow Berekete Plus.
join us on this mission?
Yes, but how?
Just one question for you. How do you keep your toilet clean?
I use regular detergent and bleach for washing and removing yellow stains. I have been using it for years.
Oh, madam, the regular detergents and bleach are used for washing clothes. To disinfect your toilet properly, you need Harpic 10X. It is specially made for germs and stains remover. Harpic sticker formula settles on stains and gives 10 times better cleaning compared to regular detergent and bleach.
Wow!
It's 6 o'clock in the morning, getting set for another day. Another chance to change my story. I believe in my hustle. I know be lazy person, but life is just a not big basketballs. If it don't close, I go find another. If I fall down, I go try to recover. If it ever walk me, I know they bother. Cause I believe, say, I go surely prosper. They don't get that shit, won't be.
Whatever life brings, we move. Turn up your dreams. MTN, everywhere you go.
Fresh for your dates. Get even fresher with Close Up. New Close Up Triple Fresh formula. It cleans deeply, fights 99% of bacteria, and cools intensely, keeping you protected and fresh.
Protected and fresh. Protected and fresh.
Let's take a picture.
Protected and fresh.
Still fresh, still protected.
Feeling cool and protected.
All day confidence to get close.
Oh yeah, take the Close Up shot. Close.
New Close Up Triple Fresh formula.
No irritation. Yes, moped.
No irritation. We need a revolution.
Moped Ultra Soft comes with 100% nylon-free surface and triple soft wings with no irritation. Your skin will love it.
Live your life. Moped comfort and protection are always with you.
He's falling sick so frequently, either fever or stomachache. I keep him away from junk food.
He also feeds me apples. She says an apple a day keeps...
If you want to keep germs away, then also wash your hands regularly with Dettol soap.
Meaning?
Germs and disease spread through the hand also. For this, use Dettol soap. Dettol protects from up to 100 illness-causing germs. Dettol soap is endorsed by the Nigerian Medical Association. Be Dettol sure.
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will look to stay in pole position in Group C when they take on the Lone Stars of Liberia. Can the Lone Stars of Liberia cause major shockwaves in the African World Cup qualifiers? It's Liberia versus Nigeria on the 13th of November in the African FIFA World Cup qualifier, showing on the network service of the NTA and Wazobia TV from 4:30 p.m. with live radio broadcasts on Cool FM, Wazobia FM and Nigeria Info. You can also join us online at sporty.com and NPFL TV. The FIFA World Cup qualifiers are proudly brought to you by Bet Niger and supported by MTN, Coca-Cola and Dettol, proud sponsors of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Great to have you back. Let me get straight to the point on the sweet flourishing story of sugarcane cultivation in Kaduna State as a suitable commodity of promoting rural development and poverty reduction through skillful processing of local brown sugar, popularly known as mazarkwela in Hausa communities. Now, having whet your appetite, here is Hamza Musa Makarfi with details of this age-long tradition among value chain participants.
To experience the flourishing culture, you travel to where it belongs in rural areas of Nigeria
Sugarcane is perennial crop and at this time of season becomes highly sought after for value addition and source of food security and reducing over-dependence on imports. Alasan Adamu Barigi, who understands this, says harvest ongoing for about 5 days and work on the plantation will take the next 3 weeks. To process into brown sugar, popularly known as mazarquela among Hausa community, first is to extract the juice, then boil until it condenses and solidifies. Many years ago, horses were used for these laborious processes. Adamu Rahama, taking charge here, is happy with the number of people employed and changes coming into the business, admitting a lot is suspected. Rahama says the vocation is profitable, adding that there can never be anything more to have as means of sustenance at this time of the year. He and other family members make an average weekly income of more than $500,000 naira, relying on patronage by loyal customers who visit on daily basis. Operators in the same axis are rest assured of making brisk business. Overcoming challenges facing the industry, Yahya Don, Musa Shaibu and Abdullahi Rahama are looking forward to interventions that can transform the business with modern technology and other facilities to boost production. Industrial sugarcane variety is becoming increasingly common among farming communities, as findings shows Makarfi, Soba and Kubau local government areas have large concentration of local brown sugar processing industries in Kaduna State. From Kaduna, Hamza Musa Makarfi, NTA News.
Wow, apart from the health benefits and the economical benefits of mazarquela, on a lighter note, some Hausa men call their wives mazarquela because of how sweet it is. Well, it is now more than 2 months after the closure of Tsamia Bridge along Kano-Kari to Maiduguri Road as a result of defects identified that could lead to collapse of the bridge. Motorists from Northeast and Jigawa State have been diverted to a long route to reach their destinations, especially to Kano. Awal Mohammed Kazauri reports that they are appealing for an immediate action on the bridge as the diversion route is being overstretched.
The Tsamia Bridge, the bridge that was temporarily closed by the Federal Ministry of Works due to damage caused by heavy downpour. This is the situation now at the closed bridge site. Some young Samaritans are making mixed business collecting token in guiding motorists who insist on using the under bridge to cross to the other side. Others are, however, forced to follow a Trunk B state route to link up with the Kano-Maiduguri road through Dutse, the Jigawa state capital. This has overstretched the road. Motorists appeal to the authority concerned to repair the Tsamia Bridge to avert accidents along the diversion road.
Government should help us by repairing the bridge. It is one of the busiest highways. I'm a passenger from Yola. I did not encounter any difficulty until I came to this bridge. Our problem since rainy season is this road closure, which affected our socio-economic activities.
Meanwhile, officials of the Federal Ministry of Works and Housing hinted to NTA News off camera that the contract for the rehabilitation of Tsamia Bridge has been awarded. They confirmed that work is expected to commence as rains have ceased in this part of the country. From Dutse, Awal Muhammad Kazauri, NTA News.
And from Dutse, we'll head to Lagos. One topic on the lips of many Nigerians, particularly Lagosians, for the past 1 week is the ill-fated 21-story building at Ikoyi and what could have been responsible for it. Now, saddened by this incident and to put people's minds at rest, the Council for the Regulation of Engineers in Nigeria, COREN, has constituted a 9-man inquisition panel to profile reasons and solutions. Adola Kamiakere reports.
Set
Sequel to the collapsed 21-story building in Ikoyi, Lagos, the Council for the Regulation of Engineering in Nigeria, COREN, inaugurated a 9-man inquisition panel to unravel the remote causes of the collapsed building. Terms of reference of the panel include carrying out a comprehensive inquisition on reasons for the collapse, gather records and analyze all relevant engineering data available on the site, and confirm contractors' compliance to Lagos State Building Development Regulations. The panel is also expected to find out the level of involvement or otherwise of practitioners on the project leading to the collapse, as well as conduct integrity tests on the 2 standing towers at the present of the disaster.
It's definitely an engineering failure. It's an engineering infrastructure and it's an engineering failure. So we are acting in line with our act to get the remote causes, technical of course, why this building came crashing. We must make sure that the recommendations arising from the work of this panel will be implemented by the government.
Chairman of the Inquisition Panel, Engineer Judge Okoroma, said the panel will do a thorough work and come out with a report that will help put an end to building collapse in the country.
Some detention stars all sit on the soil or on the ground, and so what's need to do first of all is to look at the soil. What's the soil nature? And if we have information of the soil, then we need to look at what kind of foundation should be being used in that very project.
Other members of the panel are Town Planner Bumi Ajayi, Architect Mrs. Buki Ejiwumi, Engineers Eddie Atumonyogo, Victor Oyenuga, Nurain Suleiman, Will Ibim Beresibo, and Ibikunle Ogumbayo. And it is the hope of other engineers in this hall that by the end of the inquisition, the findings and recommendations will put an end to quackery in the profession, and building owners will from here on engage professionals in the building sector to undertake their jobs. In Lagos, Adeola Komiakere, NTA News.
Pilots are special species of professionals that, in flight parlance, are said to be sitting on top of the world. There is, however, this trending story of a certified pilot in Kano who, instead of sitting on top of the world, now sits on top of his sewing machine as his piloting dream remains deferred. Mohammed Rabiu Ali had an encounter with this pilot turned tailor who remains unyielding in the face of frustration.
Sitting comfortably on this sewing machine is a man that once sat comfortably on top of the world, as they say in the world of flight. At first look, millions of Nigerians who read about him and glanced at his picture on social media will recall his story. Yes, he is that talented Nigerian whose remains deferred. This is that 8-year-old Ishaq Ibrahim Abubakar, who hails from the famous Fagi area in the ancient city of Kano. He was among the 100 young graduates sponsored in 2013 by the Kano State government for a professional pilot training course in Jordan. A total of 11 million naira was spent on each of them. After completion of study in 2015, his ultimate dream was to fly. But since he cannot fly, Abubakar is now doing what he has known long before, his piloting training. He sews clothes to make ends meet.
So we came back with the full hope that we will be allowed to showcase the training that was instilled in us. But unfortunately, maybe due to a reason or the other, here we are, 6 years now, nothing on the ground.
As proof of his multi-talent endowment, the young Abubakar has bagged NCE and degree in physics. Hence, apart from tailoring, he teaches in secondary school.
He taught us physics in our O-level, and at the same time, he was our form master.
These two colleagues of his are of the same feather. Their call on government is to come to their aid.
Try our best between airlines and governments to be engaged. Unfortunately, some of us, they were engaged.
We unexperienced or unemployed pilot in Nigeria, which the statistic of us is not more than 500. So if government can bring out a policy, for example, to grant a loan, and to sit with the stakeholders or airline operators to come up with one tangible solution that at least to sustain our life, because this is our life actually.
For the likes of Ishaq and hundreds of others, who government spent huge amount of money on their study abroad, but their dreams couldn't come to reality yet, they remain optimistic that one day they will have their moment of fulfillment and triumph. Muhammad Rabiu Ali, NTA News.
We sure hope so. We take another breather. Stay tuned.
All washing powders are the same. Sunlight adds bursts of freshness to cleaning power to give you Sunlight 2-in-1 for sensational cleaning and freshness that lasts. Sunlight 2-in-1, sensational cleaning with burst after burst of freshness. Introducing Sunlight with luxurious oud fragrance.
How did I get here? It all started shortly after I graduated from MSTC, the Model Skills Training Center with a certificate in ICT. I successfully developed a data management program that has been called the software of the future. Thanks to its success, everyone wants it. And as you can see, now everyone wants me. But I'm not alone. The skills training programs at MSTC are equipping young Nigerians to become the next big success story. Whether it's ICT, mechatronics, facility technology, electronics and computer networking, or culinary studies, certificate at MSTC is the way of the future. And just like me, there he is. Everyone will want you to.
ITF, developing the nation's human resource.
Niger Kings. Get ready as Budweiser brings in La Liga's Roberto Carlos and myself for an epic face-off on the field in the first ever Budweiser Game of Kings football tournament. Niger, it's on. In this battle of the greats, you have a chance to manage either myself or Roberto Carlos's team as they play alongside Nigerian players.
Simply drink Budweiser. Get your participation code under the crown cork and visit budweiser.com/Game of Kings to apply as manager and for a chance to watch the match live.
Game of Kings is brought to you by Budweiser, the official sponsors of the EPL and La Liga.
Let them know there's only one king.
Did you hear the super exciting news?
What have you heard?
GoTV's going super.
Are you serious?
Bringing new channels with super awesome novellas, super duper kid shows.
All right.
And super slamming WWE 24/7. All at the super cool price of 5,500 Naira.
Good.
Get GoTV's brand new package. GoTV Super.
The Onodingene family of Abo in Udi local government area of Enugu State wishes to announce the transition to glory of their beloved mother, grandmother, sister, auntie, Madam Teresa Onodingene Nnediebube. Vigil Mass and Wake Keep will take place on Thursday, 11th November 2021 at Onodingene's compound by 5 p.m. Burial Mass on Friday, 12th November 2021 at St. Peter's Catholic Church, Abo by 9:30 a.m. Reception follows immediately after Mass at Christ High School Field, Abo. May her gentle soul rest in peace. Amen. Ken Onodingene for the family. Me and you, let's get to Ghana. Hey! Go and jump.
This is Ghana. You've come here to seek for greener pastures. Make it your worthwhile.
Any guinea fowl is a guinea.
Guinea fowl has nothing to do with guinea. It's just the name of the fowl.
So Ghana jollof, what is it? Is it Nigerian beans?
What?
Have you made before?
No.
Jasper! Help me!
The Super Eagles of Nigeria will look to stay in pole position in Group C when they take on the Lone Stars of Liberia. Can the Lone Stars of Liberia cause major shockwaves in the African World Cup qualifiers? It's Liberia versus Nigeria on the 13th of November in the African FIFA World Cup qualifier, showing on the network service of the NTA and Wazobia TV from 4:30 p.m. with live radio broadcasts on Cool FM, Wazobia FM and Nigeria Info. You can also to join us online at sporty.com and NPFL TV. The FIFA World Cup qualifiers are proudly brought to you by Bet Niger and supported by MTN, Coca-Cola and Dettol, proud sponsors of the Super Eagles of Nigeria.
Thanks for staying. Let's talk sports. Super Eagles camp bubbles as training commences in Morocco. Over